our first foray into remote production. We've listened to our customers, we've understood the challenges that they face in this field, and the RP1 provides a solution to those challenges. We've also produced a guideline. We call it a beginner's guide to remote production, which is really how to do remote production with Calrec. That's what this is about. But before we hand these things out, I'm going to hand you over to Dave Letson, our VP of Sales, who's going to do the launch and talk you through the application stage. There you go.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I have a booming Irish voice, I apologise. So I'm going to take you through the first application of remote production. There's actually many different uses of remote production. Before I do that, the box which you can see beside me, I'll put a bigger one on the screen so you can have a look at it. Remote production is really emerging, and one of the biggest areas we're seeing that coming along is in sports. So we take a typical college-level football game that's being done today with remote production and look at the challenges that they face. Most of these areas would have some sort of microphones for field and for commentary, some sort of cameras obviously to capture the game in terms of vision, and then quite often there's commentators and reporters in the field who need to hear one another. If they're sat next to each other in a very noisy stadium, they need to hear each other. So remote production gives three basic challenges to our clients. And the first challenge is that they need to set up these things very quickly and very efficiently. The second challenge is that the headphones that are used for the commentators or the in-ear monitoring, they have some real problems with latency. You imagine sending a signal back to a guy hundreds of miles away and coming back, you're going to get a round-trip delay, and here the guy sat next to you is delayed. So that's not good. And then the third and final one is all those microphones and signals that are dotted around the field. Having local control and remote control of those at the same time is really important. So the RP1 aims to address that. We took a look at how we would connect that up. The RP1 we connect to the microphones over analog or any connection that the Hydra 2 range supports. It would connect to the in-ear monitoring via some sort of analog connection, most likely. But the crucial thing inside the RP1 is that there's actually a mix engine. It's a Calrec mixer built into that console, into that unit, sorry. And that means that the IFB mixes can be done internally in the system, eliminating the need for round-trip delays for local IFBs. We've chosen not to reinvent the wheel with this. Most of our clients today have the ability to already send the audio channels back to remote production sites. And the most common way that we see that happening is by dropping those audio channels onto the SDI string. We do that much the same way. We can drop the audio channels, those field microphones, into the SDI feed and feed those all the way back to the facility via the internet. And that gives us some flexibility. RP1 isn't limited to working with just SDI. In fact, we've built a number of AOIP interfaces we're also launching out the show, and all of those are available to work with the RP1 unit as well. There's a short list there. So we look at the signals coming back to the facility. When they arrive at the facility as an SDI stream, at this point on, the operator's got some new tools that he doesn't currently have. When most people are doing remote production, they have to use third-party PCs or some sort of third-party application to control that. And that means every time the operator has to do something, he looks away from the console, which is his main work. And now Calrec's got a new protocol called True Control, which allows the operator to effectively control the microphone input gains, set up the IFBs, do all that remotely directly from the console. And the consoles behind you, they're actually controlling the remote control of the remote production unit. So that's sort of one example, but actually remote production can scale up or down depending on what you need. So maybe for some niche sports, you'd have a very small number of microphones and a small number of IFBs that would be connected directly to the RP1 unit. Or you could scale up. We launched the Hydra 2 Hub last year, and scaling up allows for multiple I/O boxes to be connected to the Hydra 2 network, and then to the RP1. But remote production is not just sports. Sports is getting the most traction because that's where people want to see more content. But actually in news organisations, they very often want to connect two facilities together, perhaps a studio in London working with a controller in New York. So that ends the short introduction into remote production. And Nigel's going to come back on for a couple of final words.
Okay, thanks Dave. We're not quite as few final words from me just yet, because we do have something else we want to share with us today. But before we reveal that, I'd like to share with you a couple of people without whom this product would not be possible. And it's these two guys, Pete Walker and Ian Chandler. Pete Walker's our product manager for this product. He's a double End award-winning sound engineer who won his awards working with NBC in their Olympics coverage. Ian is a veteran of the broadcast audio industry, having worked with it for 20 years, and he's the head of our software development and software architecture. These guys are around the stand today if you want to talk to them a bit later on. But it's fair to say that without these guys, we wouldn't be launching this product today. It's a privilege to have them on the team, and we're delighted to work to launch this product today. Today, what's your form?
Okay, so we're launching today Brio 36, and Brio 36 brings together about 30 years of digital console development at Calrec into a whole new level for the first time. Brio is Calrec's newest and most cost-effective Bluefin 2 console. We've never been able to condense Bluefin DSP down into a size of less than 3 feet wide. You can see beside me it's very tiny. And also packs a massive 36 dual layer faders into the desk, so it's still a large Calrec mixing console. But most importantly, Brio is still a Calrec console. It's still dedicated to the broadcast needs that Calrec's known for. The requirements for mixing 5.1, monitoring in 5.1, working with things like auto mixers and Calrec CSCP protocol for new station automations are all built into Brio from day one. We've not scrimped on the feature set. And then Brio is also the first console that Calrec has entirely integrated DSP and I/O units into it. We've taken about 15 years worth of FPGA development, looked at the facilities provided on our current Bluefin 2 console, and been able to reduce them down into a very, very small package to get everything on board. So Brio has a fixed number of I/O, has expansion slots that you can take from any of our modular I/O units, and it also has a connection for Hydra 2 networks, so our biggest customers can have it on their network, and new customers can start to build their Hydra 2 network. And I'd like to end very quickly with a very short question, and that is, and I'm going to be a salesman here because that's what I do for a living, I'd like to ask everybody how much you think this Brio costs. Well, it's $35,000 roughly. That ends the press launch. Kevin, Ian, and any of the Calrec guys are available if you need a press pack or if you need any information. Thank you very much for attending, and please do come and have a look at everything we've got. Thank you.